Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Predator, Killer of Killers. What happens if we survive? Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things geek-centric. Today, I am joined by two predators who get pretty vicious if they haven't eaten. They get pretty hangry. They get hangry predators here. Darcy Hudson, Nate Shelton, how you guys doing?
If it bleeds, we can kill it, Justin. But I'm happy that you're saying this in the context of this review. Going out and calling someone predators is not it's a wild accusation.
Sure. Yeah, they're alien predators. How's that? Does that soften it a little bit?
That makes us sound much cooler.
They're not predatorial, as in like your your common predators that you know today on the day to day. Anyways, let's deviate from this. How you both doing today? How you both doing?
Doing good. I'm excited to talk some Predator. I mean, I feel like this is a really cool return to the franchise, so I'm excited to get into it with you guys.
Yeah, anytime we get it feels like it's like another like little surprise from Dan Trachtenberg, right? Like it's cool that it felt like it snuck up on us. I was not expecting this, especially in the same year that we're getting another movie. So I think this is it's a really lovely little like an appetizer, would you call it almost?
Yeah, that's exactly what I refer to it as, and I think it very much is meant to bridge between Prey and Badlands, which is coming out later this year, to kind of almost give a little bit more depth to maybe some of the thematical elements, and as well just kind of really highlight how this franchise is taking a different direction than obviously the mid 90s or
the
early
Arnold
90s.
Ones.
The Arnold ones, then there's the Dana Glover ones, right? And then
Yeah.
after that it just became this sort of tentpole sci-fi action adventure genre. And I think, like you said, even when we reviewed Prey almost 3 years ago, I think it was, or maybe a bit longer, but when we reviewed it, we were pleasantly surprised with how Dan Trachtenberg really took the direction of the franchise to kind of focus in on some of those core themes of the Predator, the hunting, the sense of like that loyalty, and that sort of what's another word for it?
What's the honor of the hunt?
The honor. Thank you. The honor of the hunt. Thank you, Darcy. Yes, that's exactly it. And I think that's very much what this series continues to kind of talk about. Now, before we get into talking about this movie, I did want to ask. We do see some different time periods featured in this anthology series. I wanted to know for you guys if you could, is a fun thing, if you could maybe live in any time period. Is there a time period that you think you'd want to live in? And I'm not saying like, don't go in like the 70s.
We have to go back. We can't go forward, right?
Yes, you can only go back.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't go forward. Forward's a cheating answer. I think we've done this before then, because that's come up, right?
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
But if you could live in a different time period and be chased by a predator, an alien predator, just to be clear, what period would you want to do that in?
I don't know. I feel like the two of us wouldn't last very long in old age.
Whether there's an alien predator or not, I don't know if it lasts very long in any other time period, Justin. Like, you're talking like if we go back to the World War or whatever, like, sure, we're dead. If we go back to medieval times, we're dead. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, I guess that's true. Let me rephrase the question then. Instead of let me just rephrase this whole thing. Now, we do get to see some different time periods in this anthology series. Now, rumor has it, or discussions have had it, that a lot of this inspiration actually came from fan suggestions online. That's why we have
Oh, cool.
these different timelines.
Cool.
So if you could see a Predator story in a different timeline, in a different like historical period, what would you want to see?
Ooh.
I mean, we got two of my favorite time periods already in this movie with the Vikings and a feudal
Mhm.
Japan. If we're going somewhere else, though, I think going full medieval would be pretty cool. I think some knights, like Arthurian knights in armor, fighting what they are calling these human dragons or whatever. Like, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it would also be kind of neat to maybe dive a little bit into the ancient Egyptian mythology.
Cool.
I was always a big fan of like Age of Mythology growing up,
Mhm.
like the real time strategy game. And so I think that would be really neat to almost see like, could we potentially see a predator fighting like a griffin or another mythical being would be really, really neat.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'd probably. I know this might be a bit of a cop out. I'd love to see a western.
Oh, that'd be neat. That'd be
That's
And
kind of
neat.
like
cool.
almost like hunt, like kind of like a sort of very symbolic to Prey. The hunter becomes the hunted by
Hmm.
you know what I mean, and that sort of role playing in the reverse. That I think that would be really really interesting, or it could be as simple as just a hunter. You know what I mean, like really raw. Like just a guy who's been hunting animals and hunting prey, and now he
Mm.
becomes that, and it's just really simplistic, really focused. But again, I think Prey gave a lot of those as well. But yeah, a western would be really cool. I think a cowboy one would be dope, especially given the fact you got that sort of uh, pinnacle showdown moment. I think that would be
Mm.
really interesting. So to see. But yeah, let's talk about Predator Killer of Killers. This is an original animated action adventure film set in the Predator universe. The anthology story, which follows three of the fiercest warriors in human history, is directed by Dan Trachtenberg and Josh Wasung from the animation company The Third Floor. He's serving as co-director. The film is written by Robert Rotter, with a story by Trachtenberg and Rotter based on the characters by Jim Thomas and John Thomas. Predator, Killer of Killers stars Lindsay Levanchi, Luis Azawa, Rick Gonzalez, and Michael Bain. Predator, Killer of Killers premieres June 6th exclusively on Disney Plus here in Canada, Hulu in the States, as I think also globally it'll be on Disney Plus. Um, but here in Canada, yes, it's going to be on Disney Plus Canada. A huge thanks to our friends at Disney Plus Canada and by extension 20th Century Studios for giving us this movie early for review. Um, let's get into it. Yeah, who wants to start? I know. I think the things that I know we're going to want to talk about right off the bat is the look and feel, the animation of this this movie. I keep wanting to call it a series, but it's a movie.
Yeah.
So I
Same.
apologize in advance. But let's start talking about it. Who wants to go first? I'll throw it to you, Darcy. How did you feel about the animation and the look and feel?
I loved it. Again, the modern era of 3D animation between Bad Batch, Blue Eye Samurai, and Secret Level is just every studio is leveled up almost in the way they're telling these animated stories, and this is another hit home run in terms of the way it looks and feels, because it is such a cool way and exploration in the Predator franchise to get these huge animated moments and fight scenes that just work so well. Like, I just loved every second of it.
Yeah, we've gotten to this point now it feels like in animation, right? Or at least modern day animation, like you're saying, Darcy, where it's like this is a style now. And I'm so happy for it because I think, we love what we've gotten from Disney. We love what we've gotten from Pixar. But I think Sony kicking things off with Mitchell's versus the Machines, Into Spider-Verse, we got Mutant Mayhem with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You mentioned Blue Eye Samurai, I think Wild Robot, like all these movies sort of following this painterly style. And this actually reminded me most of a bit of TMNT Mutant Mayhem mixed with Blue Eye Samurai, I think, in its style. And I think the team at Third Floor Animation really nailed it on all fronts. Because I think and we talk about this all the time, but going with the choice for animation just lends itself so well to combat and to action. And there's so many moments in this movie where my jaw just hit the floor of just like there's like, just for instance, there is a one shot of we'll just say a character knocks on the door, so to speak, of her enemies, and there is this one shot that follows her through that is just absolutely staggering. And yeah, man, I there were so many moments watching this animation and this action that had me going like, cool. Like, there's nobody else in my room sitting next to me, but if there was, they'd hear me say cool 100 times watching this.
Yeah, I think what's striking about the visual look of it is sort of the concept art inspired visuals
Mm-hmm.
that the film takes on with very unique textures, and I feel like it is at times watching a moving piece of artwork, just
Yeah.
the way it moves, and it is animated on twos, which just gives the action a more stylized, timeless feel.
Mhm.
And it's as you said, Nate, it's very reminiscent of Spider-Verse, but it's grounded in its own tone. And I think that like the idea of that sort of hand painted brushstroke texture just adds such grit and weight, especially in the battle heavy scenes. I think that there's just such a rawness to it that is just, so perfectly juxtaposed with the or paralleled with the aesthetic of the shots. And I think there's just like this over the sort of tactile quality to it that just feels very, I don't know, it just feels very inherently well used for each time period. And I absolutely love that. And despite being animated, I think the sequences are framed and shot like live action scenes, which is again
Mhm.
brings me back to that idea of like this the or sorry the notion that the aesthetic is very much inspired by concept art. It is storyboards. It is this idea of storyboarded action and the way it's framed, and that's just so noticeable in every combat moment. It just stands out as being like top tier.
Well, and I think it's cool because the camera is able to follow with these characters so fluidly and so easily. And I think hitting those moments where we'll get a close up on, a character grabbing a piece of armor off the ground and immediately putting it on, you're sort of following it. It almost allows you to follow like every single step of the combat in a way that really feels visceral and immersive. And I think that's one of my favorite elements about the movie, is that it does sort of take you through each moment of the fight to the kind of almost in a weird way that reminded me a lot of video games. A lot of like, when I press the button, the character does this, and it sort of felt like that without me having to press the button. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a quick time event aspect to a lot of this stuff, but that
Yes.
didn't take away. Again, that added to that immersive quality where it
Mm-hmm.
felt like you were on the edge of your seat trying to figure out what the outcome was going to be. And again, just the dynamic quality of the camera is definitely lending itself to this 3D animation style, because like you said, you can do stuff that you can't do in a practical form because just someone can't walk with the camera that way or can't get a rig in through that hole or whatever. But just the way they use it and add that dynamic quality to every fight scene is so great. It's again, I want Predator to only be in this style because it was so cool.
And you feel every hit. Like, I think,
Oh yeah.
to your point earlier, Justin, about like feeling the weight of these characters, I mean, they're muscly, some of these, especially the Predators, right? And so the it's not really the sort of like a punch and a squish. It's like a punch and a bounce back almost. Like, there is some real heft to these characters. I also love the use of color in this movie because it's not constantly colorful, and I think that is a really smart choice. I think they could have done that and gone the sort of hyper colorful route, but they use it effectively, whether it's red pops of smoke or like the neon green of Yautja. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Don't come for me, Predator fans, but Yautja blood being spattered on the ground or on a wall or something. It just emphasizes the violence so much more when you have those contrasting colors. It was just so cool to see.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I think, just on the note of violence,
Mm.
the gore is
Oh, yeah.
plentiful.
Oh yeah.
And I think animation just allows, like, again, just talking about animation, it just allows it to be expressive and not to seem like a weirdo, but like almost poetic at times, like especially given the fact of, like, as you pointed out, with the green blood being sprayed, by samurai sword, like, that has such a visual imagery to it. But like, yeah, it's less about the shock and more about the impact, I feel, in a lot of ways, and some of that was super impactful. I also want to just talk about really quickly the redesign of some of these predators.
Yes.
Like it was actually really cool. Like I think we saw that in we saw most of that in Prey, with just the evolution or the de-evolution of the predator character, and I think that in itself is seen carried through in this series, in this movie, in that the creature designs feel bigger, they feel deadlier, there's more aliens and they're different shapes, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Like they're not all you know they're not all the same. So I think that that's great, and there's some wild new weapons that are just like it's
Yeah.
just some of the things that they like, it's just so inventive. And then my final thing I just want to talk about in terms of look and feel is just taking us to different periods of time, with the art style as well. I think, like, seeing uh, just very, Viking era Russia. I guess I'm imagining that's Russia. I'm sure it's like Eastern European, right?
Yeah.
And then like, you, what did you call it, Darcy? Feudal Japan? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Right, feudal Japan in its aesthetic, and then we have this World War II era. I just feel like the visual style, like even as we jump through different time periods, the visual style stays fairly consistent, but it's so beautiful to see us move through these different periods and feel like, we're just kind of like in them, in these moments, based on their visual aesthetic.
What was cool, I think, is the fact that it still felt like one movie despite going from through all these eras. Like the consistency in the animation and the world building was there, that you could feel that you were still on the same planet, just in a different time zone or era, basically. And again, just the way they played with the predator design through those eras too is really cool. So yeah,
Hmm.
just really
Yeah.
really love the look and feel for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I love the various like combat styles that we get in the different
Yeah.
action sequences, right? Because like each Yautja, uh, much like they do, I guess, in the other Predator films. Again, I've really only seen Prey, and of course I've seen famous clips of Arnold in the other ones. But just kind of, you've got the first one adapting to the Vikings with like a blunt battering ram sort of device, and then the second one is doing wall jumps and flips and using that like chains thing or whatever, right? And then you've got the last one very much sticking to the sort of aerial combat in the 1940s setting. Like it's so cool because it adds such a it takes what would be like a really cool like action movie and gives you all these really more interesting looks at how they can approach action, like you said, Justin, so creatively between the different time periods. And I love that sort of even just adds to the already existing lore of the predators adapting to
Mhm.
their enemies. And it reminds me of like the coolest parts of Taskmaster. So that makes my my
Well,
Marvel heart
that's yeah,
happy.
that's definitely a source of inspiration, I feel like, for the character of Taskmaster,
Yeah.
is this idea of replicating and being a bit of a predator in that respect. But everything about the look and feel of this film, it just it's a knockout.
Yeah.
And you marry that with a fantastic story for this entire film. um Again, how did you guys feel about the narrative? Nate, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, I think this story is really it is simple, but then it can get more complex the more you sort of stick with it. And I actually watched parts of the movie again, just some of the parts that I was really kind of blew my mind away and had to kind of reprocess coming into this review. And I got to say, I was not fully on board at first with the idea that we'd be getting three separate stories in this anthology style, because I was kind of like, oh, this really should have been maybe like a limited series, like you keep calling it a series, Justin. But at a certain point in the movie, you're going to get this moment that is going to tie it all together. And I think it just kind of, again, it had me going like, wow, like that is so cool the way they find a way to creatively make it work. And it's awesome. I think all three of our main characters really grow throughout the movie, and we see them growing beyond their initial need to like almost prove themselves and into these characters that you do root for in the end. And for them to do that in sort of 23-minute chunks, it sort of feels like, is really impressive. Like, for me to kind of have like the feeling of like, I'd happily watch any of these characters in their own movies after what we got from just this short period of time with them. I think that's really cool. And I'll be completely honest, the second character barely speaks, and yet I still felt that way, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I loved the way that they approach the storytelling, because again, after every segment, there's a moment that almost leads you to want to keep watching. Obviously, more from the fact that these stories are separate, and you can kind of tell that there is something they're building towards, and just the payoff you get for that final story where the three main characters almost come together. It was so cool. I loved every second of the pacing and each of the stories, the way that they reflected certain aspects of the predator culture. You can understand why these people were being targeted as these hunts for the yautja, and just watching how those hunts play out was always so cool. Watching squishy humans fight back against the ultimate predator is always really satisfying, and the way they take us through these eras in this movie was so enjoyable.
Yeah, I feel like it's really strange because for me, I guess I just understand anthology is different, but I feel like this is three stories, one theme, and while presented as an anthology, the narratives are all connected by a central idea, and that is the predator seeking out apex killers across history, across timelines. And I think that exploration is on full display, and to see each of these segments and to see each of these characters have to deal with family, it is, it helps to drive the human versus the monster aspect of it all, and really, telling us a story that leans into genres. Like, we get that Viking revenge story, we get that samurai drama, but and we all just, that wartime story as well, but it's all just filtered through like this sci-fi horror genre, and I think that keeps things very fresh and unified. And it also feels like that is very much a reminder to what Prey did really, really well, and how it kind of mixed its genres, and kind of like it felt entirely new upon itself. um but yeah, I think each of these heroes that we see, um they're not just surviving the predator, um they're they're earning the right to be hunted in a lot of ways. And I think it it just reframes the way we look at the predator code, if you will, as almost mythic. And honor, you use that word, it's Darcy, it's the perfect word. There's an honor to it. So yeah, I think that this whole little like movie thing does a lot to kind of add more depth and lore to the Predator franchise than I think anything that before
Yeah,
Prey really did. I feel
I'd
like
have to agree with you there for
it
sure.
just fed into it more and more rather than kind of adding depth. And I thought it was really intriguing with what they were able to give us through this.
Yeah, the Predator, in my mind, again, I haven't seen those movies, but it's everyone knows who the Predator is, and the Predator is, in my mind, was at the time was like the boogeyman. Like, it didn't
Mhm.
really matter where the Predator came from or what the Predator stood for. It was just going after killer the apex predator. It was the killer of killers, right? And I do love, like you're saying, this movie opens up the lore. We get to see we get a tiny glimpse of the Yautja in a way that I'm expecting to see more from Predator Badlands. And I think the coolest thing about this movie, in contrast to what I'm expecting from that movie, from what we've seen from the trailers, is the fact that this is giving us the human side, and it looks like in Badlands we're going to be getting more on the Yautja side. And I think that's really, really fun. And I always love being able to explore both sides. Again, I'm going to bring up Star Wars every chance I get on this podcast, but I love Rogue One for that reason, right? That we kind of get to sort of see, and Andor, we kind of get to see on both sides. So I'm excited to sort of see how they expand even further. But this is definitely a taste, and it will leave you wanting more. I think this is kind of a stepping stone, and I'm excited to see where this universe goes with Dan Trachtenberg at the helm.
Yeah, I agree, and I think despite its limited runtime per chapters, I think each character just it's mini journeys for each of these characters, and I think some of them feel more fleshed out than others.
Sure.
But again, they all just tie into this central theme of worthiness in combat and feeling worthy, and the idea of the hunt. And yeah, like you said, I think that for Predator fans, there's some nods. I think there's also updated tech, and I think the film really does stand out on its own as being a bold experiment in the genre of storytelling, in that genre and that franchise of storytelling, and I think that's what this film does really really well. Yeah. Cool. Well, I know it sounds like we're all super positive, but guess what, guys? We're nearing the end here, right? We're getting down to the final battle, and
Who would win? Who do you think would win? Who do you think would win in
I don't know if it
this
was intelligence, we would both
combat
be
scenario?
out against
Yeah,
Darcy.
true. Darcy
Yeah.
would. Yeah. If this was like, I think if it was like an aerial combat situation and you had to like strategize and whatever, yeah, we'd
Yeah,
be
Darcy
done.
would be. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, honestly, I don't think I'd win in any scenario. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, look, let's give our final thoughts and our score out of 5 predators, out of 1 to 5 predators. Nate, I'll start with you.
Yeah. This is as we mentioned, like this is another delightful surprise from Dan Trachtenberg, and it's the best Predator movie since Prey. I think it further cements Dan Trachtenberg as like the right person to be in charge of this universe. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, it's got me so much more excited for Predator Badlands later this year. The animation is top notch. Again, I love that we are in this era where we're kind of just getting more of these. And I don't care if it looks the same as the other things that I love, because that's fine with me. More is great right now. We're not overloaded with this style. And even if we do get there, I don't know, maybe I'll still be okay with it. But yeah, I think the action sequences are incredibly cool. You feel every punch. You get to sort of be along for the ride. And the camera will just fly through these sequences that get you so immersed, and it's so fast paced. I think the story is simple. It did leave me wanting a little bit more, but I think that's the right thing. I think especially in a moment where we are in the lead up to another chapter in this universe, whether it's fully connected or not. I think they made the right call in how they presented this and how they structured the story. And there are some even really, really, really cool elements that connect this story to the rest of the franchise that had me smiling really, really bigly, and just had me imagining, like you had us imagining, Justin, at the beginning of this, all the other parts of history that we could witness in like a follow-up to even just this in the animated style. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed my time with this. I can't say I enjoyed it as much as Prey, but I did really love it. So I'm going to give this a very solid 4 out of 5 Predators.
Nice. Darcy?
Yeah, I mean, I loved this adventure into the Predator franchise through the era exploration that we got and all the awesome combat that came from it. Like you were saying, Nate, like you were there for every second, feeling every punch and every hit, and it is just you want more. And like you said, the way that this the potential ties this has to the greater Predator universe has me excited for more, both in Badlands and in more animated stuff, because this is such a cool way to explore the character. You can really do some stuff that traditional film would be a lot harder to come by, and maybe won't look as good as a fully animated version of it. And yeah, if you like Predator, this one is definitely at the top of the list to check out, because it is such a cool addition to the universe. I'll be giving this one 4.5 out of 5 Predators.
Ooh. 0.5
went
of a
up.
predator.
Because it got chopped in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now I get it.
I'm with you guys. Predator Killer of Killers it's bold and beautiful, and just like Prey, it shows the evolution of this franchise, and I think it's one that proves that animation isn't a limitation but a canvas, honestly, for something that can be wholly fresh and just entirely new. And I fell in love with this painterly concept art style that just brings each period of time to life with just gritty elegance. And I don't know, like I think, to your point, Nate, there's a lot of repetitiveness on this idea of animating on twos, just because of how it looks, but it is so damn good when it's paired with good visual aesthetics. And in every instance of action, it feels raw, feels deliberate. And I think that what really stands out is just how this film uses its anthology format to kind of explore the themes of legacy and honor and survival. And I think it's just, it never misses on still delivering brutal and inventive predator violence that fans will love, that are just full of gore. Like, honestly, there's so much gore. And I think, like I was saying before, I think there are some chapters that are stronger than others. And I think the connective tissue of the predator, the hunt, and this code, it just gives it an emotional and thematic weight. And I think this is just a really cool experiment that I think is a appetizer to Badlands, a experiment that could lead to more, hopefully more stories that could be told like this. But nonetheless, it's a killer addition to this franchise. So I'm also giving it a 4 out of 5 Predators. So yeah.
Nice.
I just had to get to that one line, and that was it. So
that was it. Put that in the tweet. Let's go.
I'm pretty sure I did, actually.
Nice.
Well, look, that is it for our spoiler-free review for Predator: Killer of Killers. As we mentioned, it is going to be hitting Disney Plus Canada June 6th. Hulu, if you're in the States, also June 6th. We are so grateful for the opportunity to review it. Huge thanks again to our friends at Disney Plus Canada for giving us the episodes early. Look, if you enjoyed this review and you want to write in and let us know, hey, you guys were just so great, minus the Predator comments, feel free to reach out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or if you have no shame and you just want to come at us, you can reach us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. You can also follow us on TikTok. We got some reels there. We're trying to grow that thing. You know, it's a task, but yes,
it's an honorable task.
It's an honorable task.
Yeah.
It's like hunting, for
I
sure.
think the Yautja would see our TikTok and
for sure.
they'd understand.
But keep in mind, we have a ton of other great episodes for you to enjoy, like our spoiler-free reviews for The Ballerina from the world of John Wick, Lilo and Stitch, the Disney live-action reimagining, which is in theaters now, as well as Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. All those movies are in theaters now, and if you haven't seen them and you want to listen to our thoughts, you can do so because they're available for you on podcast feeds. We also have a ton of interviews as well, available both on podcast feeds and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric. And we actually have an interview with co-director Josh Wasong from Predator: Killer of Killers, available now on podcast feeds and on youtube.com/geekcentric. At the time of recording this, I don't know what that interview is because I haven't done it yet.
You haven't done it yet. Okay.
But I will be doing it. So stay tuned for it because it's going to be a great conversation.
I think it's honestly, Justin, you know what I think it's going to be? It's going to be killer.
Dude, I know it. It's awesome.
Drop the mic.
I love it.
We'll be right back.
Right. Okay, cool. Enough of these killer jokes. The geek summer is upon us. Movies, the summer of 2025 movies is here. So we're in full swing. So stay tuned for more reviews, more interviews, for all the things that you love, because boy, is it a great time to be geek-centric. Let me tell you.
We're getting sweaty. Dude,
don't go there.
I'm okay. I'm well air conditioned right now, so I don't know. Like I think you're in some sort of heat box. So I see a lot of green around you, and you're wearing blue. It's like, you know,
dude. I've been hunting, bro. You know.
All right. Until next time, as we say,
love ya.
Laters.
Peace.